Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the weekly Roundup, and boy, were there some juicy stories reported this week, so let's get right into them. So first up, I want to address something that I actually missed. I didn't report this at all last week. I don't know how it flew by my radar, but for any of you out there that still use Google Hangouts, well, it's kind of going away. So 2019 is your last year to use the service, as in 2020 Google is axing Hangouts. Now one side of me wants to be like, oh, here we go again, Google is killing off yet another service, but to be honest, Hangouts never was. It's not that Hangouts itself wasn't okay, like I still use it sometimes and it's for the most part okay, it's just that adoption rate was absolutely horrendous. Literally no one actually uses the service, and I can't say I blame them. I mean, ever since Duo launched, I've had absolutely no reason to use Hangouts. The only reason I ever used it was to video call some of my friends who were on iPhones, and I just told them, oh, just get Hangouts. That's what works. But no, ever since Duo launched, like, that's just what I use, and probably a lot of you use too if you have Android phones. But let me know down in the comments below, what do you think about this? I mean, do you still use Google Hangouts on a day-to-day basis? Is this important to you? Or have you, like this article quotes, have you already moved on? Alright, next up here, let's cover all of the Samsung Galaxy S10 and Galaxy X rumors, because there are a lot of them. So first up, there are going to be multiple variants supposedly of the S10. There's going to be the regular S10 and S10 Plus. There's going to be a flat display budget model of the S10, and then if it's not canceled, a Galaxy X, which is like the all-out, no holding back Samsung flagship. So the big thing with this S10 is it's supposed to have a whole cutout display, much like Huawei's Nova 4 that was teased yesterday, and much like the upcoming Galaxy A8s. There have been tons of tweets and reports about this from various people like Ice Universe, and actually this was tweeted last night with just saying beyond. Now, I will say that this looks like the screen protector or something that goes over the display, because from this we don't actually see the cutout, so there's that. But this phone is gonna be so good looking, like from the design to the specs that's gonna be coming out of this. I mean, the Galaxy X, this no holding back phone, is supposed to have 1 terabyte of storage and 6 cameras. That is just insane. So this S10 is looking like a really good phone, and frankly I'm surprised by all the info we have. Like, Samsung normally has been pretty patting down about the leaks and whatnot, but this year the leaks just keep on rolling in like every week it seems. However, this was also something that slipped under my radar, but you know, everyone in the community is like, Samsung would never ditch the headphone jack, they would never do that. Yeah, well, it looks like they might do that. So supposedly the upcoming Galaxy A8s, which is also going to have this whole cutout display thing, may also ditch the headphone jack. Now this would be absolutely huge, as Samsung is literally the last major flagship manufacturer. I'm not really counting LG considering they don't sell many phones, but they are like the last, they are like the chosen one. They are the last company that's holding on, and if they ditch the headphone jack, then, well, it really is gone. A few people were calling this, and honestly it was just bound to happen. I mean, I guess to fit this Galaxy O Infinity cutout display thing, they had to remove the headphone jack. Still, it is gonna suck to see it go if this actually does come to fruition, because if the A8s launches without a headphone jack, then the Galaxy S and Note lineup will follow suit, which is honestly quite unfortunate. Personally, I can't remember the last time I actually used that port. I mean, I have wireless earbuds and headphones, but I know that this port is very important to a lot of people, so, you know, I will be pretty sad to see it go. Alright, next, let's talk about all the foldable phone shit. Yeah. So first up, let's cover Samsung, the big dog here, and oh boy. So this Galaxy Flex, which is I guess what Samsung's calling it, could possibly go up to $2,000+. That is absolutely insane, and Samsung wants to sell 1 million of these. 1 million? Yeah, no, just not happening. Now the other news is that apparently only one carrier in the UK is going to be carrying this phone. That carrier is EE. I really can't say I blame them, as this thing, I'm still holding firm by this statement, no one is going to buy this phone. Literally no one. However, that's not all we have to look forward to in the foldable phone market, because LG, Huawei, and Samsung all have the name Flex patented down. So on top of Samsung, Huawei, Sony, and LG apparently working on a foldable phone, I mean, we know Samsung and Huawei are for sure, Oppo is now working on a foldable phone, and fucking Microsoft. Yeah, Microsoft is working on a foldable phone. So regarding this Microsoft foldable phone, according to a book called Beneath the Surface, Microsoft will supposedly launch this phone in 2019. This book tells a story about a tablet which, when folded, acts as a smartphone, and that makes me want to kill myself. But Microsoft won't be using the regular old Windows Phone OS, thank God, as it's kind of dead, but it will offer a fully fledged Windows experience with some minor tweaking, and that is not going to go well. Like, Windows itself is, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, it's shit in tablet mode. It's just complete garbage compared to something like an iPad. It's just not optimized. It's just, I don't even know what Microsoft is thinking at this point. Samsung, look at what you've done. I said this in last night's episode, but literally no average consumer wants this phone, okay? It doesn't matter how this phone is launched. It doesn't matter what kind of support it has. It doesn't matter if it has this or if it has that. It does not matter. First off, Android on tablets is shit, okay? It's unoptimized, it's garbage, and no apps are actually going to take advantage of it being in tablet mode. On top of that, the average consumer doesn't want a foldable phone, okay? They either want an iPhone or they want a regular old flat fucking phone. And the fact that Apple also patented a foldable device thing, just, oh, I don't even know why the fuck they would patent that, but I guarantee Apple will never launch a foldable phone. The point is though, again, I don't care, and a lot of other people don't care how this phone is launched or marketed or this or that. No one is gonna buy it, especially at the asking price that these phones are probably gonna come with, because if Samsung is gonna ask nearly $2,000+ for the Samsung Galaxy Flex, I can only imagine what the Huawei Flex and the Oppo Flex, actually now I think about the Oppo Flex and whatnot, would probably be a little bit cheaper. But can you imagine what Microsoft's foldable phone is going to be? The Surface lineup is already outrageously expensive. Like, can you imagine a Surface foldable phone? This thing is going to have such a heavy price tag. Regardless though, this tech should be more implemented into something like a tablet. Like, it would be really cool if, like, for example, like the iPad, okay, the iPad folded up, that would be practical, that would be cool. Or like Samsung's tablet, the Galaxy Tab S4, I believe that's what it's called, don't remember, don't care, but that would be cool if that folded up. That is practical. This though is not practical, and it's why these folding phones are gonna flop, because the average consumer doesn't want a foldable phone. And last up in this episode, let's talk about all the Apple stuff that went down this week, and holy shit, it was a lot. So let's just cover all the disaster stories, starting with President Trump stated that he wants to apply a 10% tariff on electronics manufactured in China, which would include every single Apple product. This would mean that, well, iPhones, most notably, would go up in price, and they're already outrageously expensive. This is just insane if this actually does happen, as I can't imagine paying more for an iPhone than you already can. Like, can you imagine paying like $1,600 for an iPhone XS Max? That would just be insane. On top of that, it seems like Microsoft is now the most valuable company in the world. So Microsoft passed Apple yesterday, Friday, and ended with a market cap of $851 billion. This is a result of Apple stock just plummeting this past couple weeks, and both of these companies are well below the $1 trillion mark that both Apple and Amazon hit earlier this year, but I'm sure Apple will recover and get back up to that $1 trillion mark. However, that's not all. See, rumors were circulating that Apple's iPhone XS and the XR and all this crap were selling so bad because Apple, for one, slashed the price of the XR in Japan on one specific carrier by $100, and there are rumors circulating that Apple is going to start production again of the iPhone X. Now I can see why this would immediately have people pointing fingers at Apple, saying that the latest iPhone sales are doing terrible, because I mean, it doesn't really make sense if you think about it for Apple to bring back the iPhone X. That would just completely destroy the XS and the XR, if I'm being honest, but mostly the XS and the XS Max. Like, why would anyone buy a XS over the 10? I mean, that doesn't even make sense. However, there is some light to this, at least for Apple, as Apple's vice president of product marketing commented in an interview with CNET saying that the iPhone XR has, quote, been our most most popular iPhone each and every day since the day it became available, and this puts a dampener on all those Apple haters. See, it would literally be illegal for Apple to say that the XR is selling better when in reality it wouldn't be. So it doesn't matter if Apple doesn't provide numbers or anything like that. The fact that this is coming straight from Apple, that the iPhone XR has been the best-selling iPhone each and every day since it became available, means that the XR is not a flop and it is selling very well. Now, this wording is a little skewed, as the XS and the XS Max did sell very well, like in the first couple months, but apparently the XR is selling better since it became available. I do have a hunch that this is why Apple delayed the launch of the XR, because imagine if they launched the XR right next to the XS and the XS Max, like September 14th, the XR would have just cannibalized the sales of the XS and the XS Max. So it was very smart that Apple delayed the launch of the XR for a month so that they could make a lot more profit and get a lot more sales off of the XS and the XS Max. So with all this in mind, this is starting to help out level Apple's stock a little bit. Hopefully they can recover. But still, they're in a world of hurt. I didn't even mention the Supreme Court case that's going on right now with the App Store. That's another thing, but Apple isn't doomed. That's not going to happen. Timmy isn't burning away here. For as much as you Apple haters want to believe that, Apple's not going to go away that easily. And the XR isn't a flop. Like, either way, the XR is going to sell. It's going to sell more than your Galaxy S9, your Galaxy S10 Plus, your Note 9, your Huawei Mate 20, you know, anything from LG, anything from Motorola. XR, even if it was a quote flop by Apple standards, it's still going to sell more than every other flagship from any other company. Keep that in mind. Just because Samsung has the most sales in the world doesn't mean that those are Galaxy S9 sales. They're like cheap $200, $300, $400 budget phones that they manufacture, not their high-end flagship S9 and S9 Plus, which is why Apple was at one point a $1 trillion company, because they do sell more flagships than any other company in the world. So with all that said and done, Apple is not doomed, not going anywhere. They're going to be just fine. And the XR, it looks like so far, it is indeed the best selling iPhone since it became available. That's going to do it all for this video, guys. Hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoyed. Comment down below what you think about the iPhone XR sales. What do you think about Apple at the moment? Also, leave a comment down below on what you think about foldable phones. Do you actually think that they are the future? Do you think consumers are going to buy them? Let me know, and I will see you guys in the next video. Later.